Good evening, I'm Greg Sharpe, and here's tonight's sports ticker. Husker baseball star Jackson Hallmark signed a free agent deal today with the Houston Astros. Hallmark, a senior, did have the option to come back to play next spring with the Big Red. He went undrafted, but today's signing with the Astros ends his collegiate career. Hallmark was an all-conference pick this past year. A report out this afternoon from the Houston Chronicle stating that Oklahoma and Texas have both reached out to the SEC about joining that league. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, who was at the SEC Media Days in Hoover, Alabama, did not want to address the report, instead saying that his focus is on the teams that are gearing up for the 2021 season. We'll have more about this coming up on the show. Tough start at the Olympics for the USA women's soccer team. They had their 44-game winning streak snapped earlier today by Sweden. The U.S. lost 3-0. They will be in action again on the 24th against New Zealand. The USA softball team was victorious in their opener, beating Italy 2-0. They'll play Canada tonight, beginning in about an hour. Checking the Major League Baseball scoreboard, some afternoon games in the Bigs. Tampa Bay beat Baltimore 5-4. San Diego over the Braves 3-2 in game one of a doubleheader. The Mets blanked the Reds 7-0. The Rockies over the Mariners 6-3. The Royals sweep a brief two-game series with the Brewers. They beat the Crew 6-3. The Padres, games in progress, lead the Braves in game two of their doubleheader 5-4 in the fourth inning. It's Arizona 6, Pittsburgh 4 there in the top of the ninth. Just underway, the Marlins at the Nationals, the Phillies at the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays tangling in Buffalo. Also, Texas and Detroit getting ready to start. Later tonight, Cleveland is at Houston, Minnesota against the White Sox. Cubs and Cardinals wrap up their series in St. Louis, and they also wrap up a series in Los Angeles with the Dodgers hosting the Giants. Those are tonight's headlines. I'm Greg Sharpe.
Live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly on the Huskers Radio Network, bringing you the best Husker sports experience.
Opening night against Ohio State, 15-10 set 5. My goodness.
Lauren Stivrins is a great leader, and Lauren was talking to those guys through when we were struggling, and she got them to change their mindset. And then I think Lexi led the way, and Nicklin, and so those are the guys that got to do that. Then it was fun to watch. We played Husker volleyball.
Sports Nightly is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Transportation Highway Safety Office, who reminds you to buckle up and put the phone down. Here are your hosts, Greg Sharpe and Jessica Coody on the Huskers Radio Network.
Thank you. Welcome to our Wednesday show. It's our Hump Day show here on Sports Night. Glad you're with us here tonight. Hope we can keep you entertained the next couple of hours. Got a great show lined up for you this evening. We're going to break down the Husker quarterback position. Coming up here in a few minutes, Mario Verduzco, the Huskers quarterback coach, will be with us. We'll talk to QB1, Adrian Martinez, also later this hour. We're going to dive into this Oklahoma-Texas story a little bit later on in the program. And we're looking forward to getting caught up on that as we will be in touch with some folks down in Oklahoma as we are going to chat with Ryan Aber from the Oklahoman coming up at the top of hour number 2. Lane Grindle will be here to talk some Major League Baseball, get a feel for what it was like in Milwaukee last night with the Bucks clinching the NBA championship. We'll hear from Lane, and we'll also talk to Bill Jansen, one of the newest members of the Nebraska Football Hall of Fame. It was announced yesterday he was one of those 6 members off that 71 national championship team for the Cornhuskers, so Bill's going to join us in hour number 2. As always, phone lines are available for you, and the text line, 402-413-2400. That is our Sports Nightly hotline, which is brought to you by the Woodhouse Auto Family, bringing you more choices in brands, locations, and service. Experience the difference. Purchase with confidence. This is Woodhouse. But we start with the story that broke about 3 hours ago. The Houston Chronicle's Brent Zwerneman, who put out a story saying that Texas and Oklahoma have reached out, air quotes there, to the SEC about joining the league. Citing a high-ranking college official with knowledge of the situation, the Chronicle reports that the SEC could announce the additions of the Longhorns and the Sooners within a couple of weeks. Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, said, "I have no comment on that speculation. We are only worried about the 2021 season." Somebody dropped a report from unnamed people. Jessica, there's smoke here, and I just said it a couple of nights ago that I think we're still in for more realignment. I didn't know it was going to come on a Wednesday.
I know, crazy. But here we are again, right? I mean, this happens every couple of years, but there's a different feeling to these talks this time around. And when the news broke, I started kind of listening into some sports talk radio in Oklahoma, and there is a different feeling about if this thing happens this time. The first time around, I don't think people in Oklahoma and Texas were that for it. This time around, I think people are, and I think it's just a different landscape. I think the way that the Big 12 is right now, they want a network. You talk about the Big Ten and the lucrative network of the Big Ten network, the SEC network, ACC now has a network, and the Big 12 still does not have a legit network. I mean, their Big 12 media days were, it was a scramble to get those on TV even. So, just a more legit network. But then also crazy, we were just talking about this, the 11 a.m. kickoff times, which Bob Bowlesby brought up in his press conference at Big 12 Media Days about, hey, we all signed this TV contract. Well, I think people are kind of getting a little – they don't like those 11 a.m. kickoffs, so many of them with Fox, and so that might have something to do with it as well, trying to get away from having so many 11 a.m. kickoffs. And, the 12-team playoff talk now, it was a little bit easier road, more sure for teams in the Big 12 to do it this way, Oklahoma in particular. But if you move to a 12-team playoff, you get those at-large bids in there. It's not as hard of a road if you're just trying to get one team in from the SEC.
I do think that motivates it. I think the playoff expansion talk probably pushed this along. Texas has their own network.
Yes.
So where does that fit into this thing? I would guess they'd have to give that up and just become a part of a big family if they go to the SEC. But I'm wondering what Oklahoma's motivation is. Right now, they're the king of the hill in the league, and they have a pretty good bet of being in the playoff every year. You go join the SEC, you might have a year where you finish 4th or 5th, and you may not get in the playoff if you make that jump.
Yeah, and, I was listening to a lot of people talk about the just the scheduling and the tickets and the ticket sales and how, it's not as ideal, some of the home schedules that they've had recently, having Kansas at home and some of those teams that you're welcoming in. But having some exciting new teams that you can bring into a stadium. Fans seem to be excited about, the potential matchups that come along with that as well. That's not necessarily playing into a decision, but I do think you don't do it unless there is a legitimate talk about the expansion of the playoff, because you're right. I mean, teams don't beat Alabama. Alabama right now, they're the king of the hill down there. Yep. And what we've seen twice now that teams from the same conference has made it in, but it typically doesn't happen. And if Alabama beats you at the end of the season in the SEC championship game, you're out more than likely. So unless that thing is going to be legitimate where you are moving to 12 teams and you can still have the possibility of finding a way in with Alabama, I don't know if it's beneficial, Yeah,
that's my first thought was, okay, what's the positive for both OU and Texas? And I think they're different stories. They have different mindsets in this thing. And if I'm Oklahoma, I don't know that I'm really anxious to make this move, because they've got kind of the security blanket of the Big 12, which they rule right now. Texas has not been a threat to them for the most part over the last decade. And, yeah, you'll have the occasional Oklahoma State or Iowa State that pops up and maybe challenges you for a year, but you're probably going to win the league 6 out of every 8 years. You go to the SEC, that's probably not going to I'm wondering what the motivation is. And usually it's money. And, yeah, they'll probably get more money.
I think it's always like a $6 million right now. If you just look at the contracts now, it's not like you're making $20 more million. It's a difference, I think, between $42 million and $36 million. But now contracts are coming up in the next couple of years. So you never know where that lands moving forward. If the SEC is going to get more money, then the Big 12 is when those contracts start coming, renegotiating and whatnot. There might be a lot more money coming in, but
they certainly will if they add those 2 schools.
Exactly. And know what'll be interesting though too is Oklahoma State. The last time around when we were talking these conference realignments, there was something where Oklahoma couldn't leave Oklahoma State and Texas couldn't leave Texas Tech. And so I don't know if that's going to be the same thing. I have a hard time believing that the state of Oklahoma will allow Oklahoma and Oklahoma State to split up.
I know that, and that's been pointed out by a couple of national people today, that there's a tie at the hip with those schools because they operate under the same region's umbrella. Here, it's like UNO, UNK, UNL, but that's a different level because those schools are at a different level.
How about Texas A&M does not want?
They don't. They've
Oklahoma,
openly
Texas.
said, we want to be the only Texas school in this league.
Yeah.
So they could vote thumbs down on this deal.
Yeah.
They sure could.
And you were saying that it's like 11 out of 14 schools have to vote yes. But if Oklahoma and Texas are bringing in an additional $10 million, yeah.
Other than A&M.
Yeah.
Maybe Missouri. I don't know. Maybe Missouri's still scalded from the Big 12 days.
Maybe Arkansas. Arkansas might
Possibly.
have some competition issues there. I don't know.
But they love their rivalry with Texas. They missed that rivalry with Texas.
And
they would get that
Oklahoma.
back.
Oklahoma and Arkansas
Absolutely.
had some battles. But I do think that Arkansas gets some recruits from Oklahoma and Texas because they compete in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
So some of those kids that are not coming to Oklahoma and Texas and Oklahoma State for that matter because they want to play in the SEC and the quote unquote big boy leagues, you're losing out on those if Oklahoma and Texas get into that league.
Brett McMurphy, who's covered college football for years and years, writes for Stadium. He just tweeted out 19 minutes ago, Texas and Oklahoma have inquired with SEC about leaving the Big 12, and the SEC has an interest in both schools. Quote, this will take some time, but there is interest on both sides, the source says. A Big 12 source goes, this was inevitable. And then he went on to point out that the SEC bylaws require 11 of 14 schools to vote positive on that. This is a fascinating story. I knew we were in for more. I just didn't know it was going to come this
I
quick.
think it was either yesterday or the day before you either said it on air or during a commercial break.
Remember, I don't know if we were just chatting.
We were definitely talking about it, and it's okay today.
So, Jessica, for years, the talk has been we're going to go to these 4 super conferences of 16 teams. Well, if this happens, the SEC is at 16. So now you're the Big 10. You're at 14. So then if you're the Big 10, you're probably going to go, well, we better go find 2 more. I don't know where they go. You're going to have some schools in the Big 12 that are probably going to be looking for new homes. Is a Kansas attractive to the Big 10? Big 10 loves their basketball. Kansas, obviously a perennial power. That might be one.
Yeah, and, everyone keeps saying that if you give it a chance, Leipold, right, is the guy for the job, but you got to give him some time. Who knows? He might be able to turn that thing around at some point, but it's going to be some time before football is anywhere even near the conversation. But, hey, that gives you a beatable team.
Sure does. And it brings you one of the top 5 brands in hoops.
Right.
It just
Absolutely.
does. They just bring that
and going to
the
Allen
table.
Fieldhouse, and it's a closer trip and, travel. If you get some teams that are closer to here that you can, make those trips to, it'd certainly be beneficial for Nebraska fans. I saw a tweet that people breaking down the SEC West would be Arkansas, LSU, Mississippi State, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, and Texas A&M. And then the SEC East, Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Vandy.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow. Yeah, you would have to shift Bama to the East. You would have to move both Bama and Auburn to the East to balance that
I heard
out.
a couple of people talking about making it like the NFL and in the SEC if that were to happen in four team leagues or
divisions.
Break it, 4 divisions.
Yeah, could be able to do that. The Big Ten, I think, if the Big Ten had to look at expansion, I mentioned KU, the Big Ten's first call would be to Notre Dame. I don't think Notre Dame would come.
Not until the NBC says we're out on giving you that money.
Right. I just don't think that. I think they love their independence. They love to be able to flaunt that out there.
And they just have not had a reason not to.
Correct.
So until they're given a reason not to, and, the College Football Playoff Committee, until, if there are leagues that happen that, hey, there is no room on the schedule to get Notre Dame in, for these teams that are scheduling Notre Dame year in and year out, if you start having where you got to play a certain amount of league games, conference games, and they can't, Notre Dame can't build up a schedule enough.
Right.
That might push them to do it.
Could.
But until their hand is forced, they're not making a move.
I think they love their little arrangement with the ACC. They play 5 teams a year out of that conference, and then they go get their rivalry games with Stanford and USC and the Navy Academy and some of those ones they love to put on their schedule. The new Pac-12 commissioner, George Kliavkoff, is that how he says his last name? I think it's Kliavkoff. Just started, Jessica, July 1st. He tweeted like 2 hours ago, just when I thought my first month on the job could not be more interesting, ... So he jumps right in the middle.
Welcome to the job.
Jumps right in the middle of this thing.
It's funny when you start thinking about this. Nobody really seems to think a lot about the Pac-12 until, it's you think about, okay, what's the Big Ten going to do immediately once you hear, okay, the SEC's making a move. What is the Big Ten going to do? Where does the ACC go? But it's like the Pac-12 is a little bit of an afterthought for people.
But there'll be a player in this because they're at 12. They would only need to add 4, and they could go cherry pick a few of those Big 12 schools if they wanted to go do that. BYU's looming out there out west. Do they want to go down that path? I don't know. BYU's got strings attached because they can't compete on Sundays, and there's a lot that goes with BYU that they'd have to deal with. This is crazy. I did not think this year on Media Day stuff that have been going on we would be dealing with this.
Someone tweeted out, hey, there's still time to get Oklahoma and Texas in an SEC Media Days because it's like it wraps up on Friday.
Yeah, they go all week long. They just take over all that. No, it's great. It's a great point because I know they do feel a little bit behind in the Big 12 because there is not a TV network.
Yeah, they have the ESPN Plus games,
right.
But it's just a little bit dated in that, and if you're recruiting on a nationwide basis and you want to bring in a kid from thousands of miles away and the family is, well, how am I going to watch my son or daughter play college athletics when I can't be here every week? Well, hey, we've got this network that you're going to get to see. But if they're not on TV where you can see them,
right.
Or
you have to pay extra to get them with ESPN Plus. Yeah. All right, fascinating stuff. We'll talk more about it coming up in hour number 2. As we're going to get a gentleman on from the Oklahoman to talk about what they're hearing down in Oklahoma City and around the OU campus. Everybody in the Big 12 is starting to put out statements about reacting to this report again out of the Houston Chronicle that dropped a couple of hours ago. We're going to focus on the quarterbacks for the Big Red. We're going to hear from Mario Verduzco and Adrian Martinez. All that coming up next.
Do you want your date to wait for your interlock device to let you drive? Your kids to ask why you have an ankle bracelet? Or your boss to see your criminal history? Do you want to miss important life events because of house arrest? Get a ride. A DUI costs more than you think.
Brought to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Shop Woodhouse Chevy Buick in Missouri Valley, Iowa, and experience the Woodhouse difference, where our sales staff is here, ready to help you find your perfect new car, truck, or SUV. And with over 100 new vehicles on our lot with more arriving daily, we're sure to have something for you. From the Buick Encore to our heavy-duty trucks, we have the best selection available. Find new roads and shop all of our inventory and offers at WoodhouseChevy.com or visit us at our dealership for a test drive today, making car buying easier. This is Woodhouse.
Does it really matter where beef comes from? Meet the facts. Fact: Hy-Vee Choice Reserve beef comes from the Midwest, so you get only the highest quality beef raised on family farms here in the heartland. Where do the other guys get their beef? We're not sure either. Get the facts at meetthefacts.hyvee.com.
Stay up to date with the most current and latest news by following the Huskers on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and more. These social media homes provide the fastest daily updates on everything surrounding Nebraska athletics, including game times, results, ticket promotions, prize giveaways, and more. Log on to also follow several sport-specific pages and Husker head coaches. Join today and interact with thousands of Husker fans around the world. Visit huskers.com/social media to see all of our accounts.
Back to adventures in technology. Oh no! Our IT hero is dangling from a mountain of open IT tickets, ready to plunge into the abyss of overtime. But wait! It's Marco's Managed IT to the rescue with a lifeline of 24/7 network and user support. Our IT hero is saved! A quick selfie with Marco's Managed IT team, and our hero is back to work. For more successful Managed IT adventures, go to marconet.com.
As the official bank of Husker Nation, FNBO invites you to take the game with you with the free Husker Visa debit card. Tied to your checking account, the Husker Visa debit card allows fans to show their Husker pride all year long. Get your free Husker Visa debit card today at any FNBO branch or visit fnbo.com/Huskers. FNBO, the official bank of Husker Nation. Member FDIC.
Because Ford trucks and SUVs are built to help you every day, you made Ford America's best-selling brand. And now you can get great offers on the entire Ford lineup. Come see how at your local Ford store, based on 2019 calendar year total sales. There's a Ford built for everyone, whether it's the latest driver assist technologies, room to fit the whole family, or the power you need on the job site. Ford has you covered. Head to your Midwest Ford dealers today to find great deals on the right vehicle for you.
We're back, Sports Nightly, here on a Wednesday night. Time to continue making our way through the Husker football team. And tonight, a chance to talk quarterbacks. Husker quarterbacks coach Mario Verduzco with us. And we start with Adrian, who has been your guy for the last couple of years. And it's been such a frustrating thing, Coach, because when he's been good, he's been outstanding. But the mistakes have been an issue. And I know that's something you've talked to him a lot about.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. Adrian wants to win every game, and all too often wants to do too much. And so we've kind of just got that pounded in his head, you know, take care of the ball, take care of your teammates.
What kind of spring did he have for you?
He had a real good spring. He cleaned a lot of things up with regards to, I don't know about cleaning up. Actually, just got some more reps before spring ball started in terms of throwing, and his ball is good. Yeah, he had a good spring.
He and your room you've got to get everybody in flow. It looks like Nebraska has upgraded talent at other positions. How does that help a quarterback when you got better players maybe on the outside and up front, all that? How much does that help a quarterback?
Tremendous, you know. Just in terms of our ability to run the football, backs, push the ball down the field with receivers. All of those sorts of things help us immensely. It's a welcome change.
Adrian leaves spring, clearly your number one guy with all the experience that he has under center. And then you have some new kids that are different in Logan and Heinrich. Tell us about those two players and their differences and where their games need to keep developing.
Well, as we talked about, you know, Logan, we missed last spring with him, so we weren't able to take care of some of the things that we needed to take care of. Harburg came in pretty clean already. Needed to learn the offense, did a nice job with that, started feeling more comfortable that last week of spring ball. And they've been working both at the things they need to work on in terms of getting better. But they competed, they did a nice job. I felt really good about Heinrich and his approach to everything, which was awesome, as I did with Logan, his approach.
Some people will sit there and say, well, bottom line, Logan's a better runner, Heinrich's a better thrower. That probably is a little bit too simplified, isn't it, with those two guys?
That's really too simplified, no doubt. Yeah, we don't look at it that way. We just got to make certain that they both develop the characteristics that are going to allow them to be great players.
What about teaching them how to be leaders? How big a role do you play in that? How to tell guys, you got to take command. You're out there. You're running the show out there with this football team.
Well, from being quarterbacks all their lives, they have some sense of that. All too often, though, when a young guy comes in and he's new and he's a freshman and so on and so forth, I think there's a piece of the puzzle where they're just trying to feel things out a little bit, and they don't want to be too overbearing. After all, they just got here, so they feel themselves out. Then as they get more comfortable around the guys and more comfortable within the role of a quarterback, and as you mentioned, being that guy who's a leader, loving guys up, but at the same time being able to get after guys about what they are doing or what they're not doing. We talk about that a lot, all the time. But we also make certain that they understand that it is impossible to be a leader if you can't perform. Right? And so a player who's always yakking but can't perform is a windbag. And a guy who's supposedly a quiet example but can't perform is an impossible, empty example.
I need to mention Matt Masker, too. He's part of your room as well.
Yes.
Tell me about him and where is he in his development as a quarterback?
Matthew had a great spring and competed his butt off. And he's just a great joy to be around. Just a great kid to be around, very supportive of all the other quarterbacks in the room as they all are of each other. And he had a really good spring. Looking forward to seeing him again in the fall.
Speaking of being supportive of each other, I think we learned a lot about Adrian, didn't we, last year when he didn't start a game? I mean, that was a different thing for him. That hadn't happened to him at Nebraska.
Well, it was a difficult thing for us to do. You know, Coach Frost understands what that's like. I understand what that's like. We all have been there in some way, shape, or form, either as a player or a coach, and they're like your sons. And so it's difficult to make those decisions and tell the young guy the truth about himself. Those are difficult things. I didn't have any question in my mind that Adrian would respond that way, but in the way he did was really a tribute to him, to how he was raised by Tony and Christy. And so he was, man, I don't know that I've seen very many young guys like that to say those sorts of things in a pregame speech like he did and not be phony about it, that it was coming from his heart, and it was more about the team than it was either about him or Luke. And then as things turned out, you know, he ended up getting his job back.
I know coaches noticed that. Do you think his teammates noticed how he handled that week?
I would think they did. You're talking about the week of preparation? Yeah, he was Adrian. You know, he wasn't moping around and doing all that BS. He was great. He was really supportive of Luke and got through the drills like he needed to get through the drills, like he always had, with intensity and drive. And it was pretty impressive.
Appreciate the time. Have a good camp. Keep these guys healthy, would you?
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Husker quarterbacks coach Mario Verduzco breaking down his room, and there's no mystery here, Jessica. It's Adrian's team. He's the guy. There's no controversy. But the numbers, he's got to improve on those. You got to cut down the mistakes. That's what costs you games.
Yeah, led the team in rushing, 521 yards, 7 touchdowns. Looks over 1,055 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I do think it's hard to really, I know you got to count last year, but last year was so challenging, and you don't have a, off season, and there was so much uncertainty with the Big Ten football season, and there was not any normalcy whatsoever about last year. And we're going to have an interview with Adrian coming up, but I do feel like, and again, the first time that I'm really getting to know him and this team, but I do feel like there's a different mindset about him going into this season than years past. I mean, I think confidence was probably a big issue. He talks about that last year, and I think hopefully that's changed a little bit this year. I think he's going to have more help at the skill positions, running back, which we talked a lot about the other night, and wide receiver. Scott Frost said this is the deepest group that he's had since he's been here, right, at wide receiver. So seems like he's got a little bit of help. And again, it was just such a crazy season last year, and people in and out of the lineup and COVID and all that kind of stuff, that it's kind of hard to base a lot on what took place last year.
Very fair point, because it was. The rhythm was disrupted a lot. Games getting canceled. Huskers play their opener, then they don't play week 2 because Wisconsin had an issue. And confidence is a huge thing in sports for all athletes. And when you lose it, and he lost it, it's hard to get it back. But a new season, it's like a clean whiteboard. It's clean. You can go up and start it over. That's why these first couple games will be big for him and this team.
Yeah, and he will talk about that, just that the first couple of seasons, he still felt like the young guy. And now, last year, again, you just kind of throw it out the window because there wasn't an off season. They weren't doing what they're doing right now in summer. So he's just got a different feel about him this year. And that's big. When that flip switches between when you feel like a young guy and then you feel like this is your team, it's legitimately your team, and you have that confidence. And I think he learned a lot about himself as a leader last year as well, which also just a lot of times you see kind of a change in an athlete when all of that kind of comes to fruition and you mature in that way as a leader, as a player, and getting that confidence back and all those things when they start to line up. But yeah, I mean, it's on him, and I think he knows that, and I think he's kind of probably feels more prepared to handle that this year.
He looks great. He dropped a little bit of weight, I think, in the offseason. He looks great. He's taking this week off, and that's why he's not going to Indianapolis for the Big Ten Media Days, which start tomorrow. But I'm pulling for him, and I know a lot of Husker Nation is too. He's an easy kid to pull for. So we appreciate Coach coming on and talking about that quarterback room. When we come back, our conversation with QB1. That's next.
So, when do you think you'll be done with our kitchen renovation?
Well, ma'am, the Italian marble countertops will take a while to get in.
No problem. In the meantime, you can start on the spiral staircase.
What?
If you win Mega Millions from the Nebraska Lottery with a jackpot that starts in the millions in drawings Tuesdays and Fridays, you can afford to go a little mega.
So you want us to build a spiral staircase?
Well, how else are we supposed to get up to the helipad? Oh, good. My husband's home.
Top prize odds 1 in 302 million.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Still waiting for your stimulus check? Don't wait for the government. Get the SOS stimulus package right now. For a limited time, get $2,000 off a qualifying York system. York products are all proudly made in the USA. Call SOS, a trustworthy company since 1950. SOS is a family-owned third-generation company. Get you and the loved ones comfortable again with SOS.
SOS to the rescue. SOS. SOS.
From the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I'm journalism student Grace Fitzgibbon with Campus News. With a combination of strong academics and affordability, UNL offers an excellent educational value. This year, the university was named one of the Princeton Review's best value colleges. And the new Nebraska Promise and Career Scholarship programs are connecting more hardworking Huskers with financial help so they can pursue their dreams.
Stadium seats may have been replaced with recliners. Tailgates outside the stadium may have been swapped for the ones in the backyard, and thousands of screaming fans have been replaced by one screaming baby. The only thing that hasn't changed is us, watching the game together.
It's game time, baby.
Show off your Husker team spirit during your next virtual watch party. Visit Cox.com/Huskers to take a selfie with Herbie. And don't forget to share. Watch together, cheer together, take a selfie together, even if you're not actually together. Cox, bringing us closer.
Did you ever buy something and get more than you expected? Emeritus offers insurance, employee benefits, and financial services, but we deliver so much more. The comfort of a human voice when you need it. The confidence of flashing a beautiful smile, the relief that your family can keep living the life they love, the serenity of knowing you've planned well and can enjoy life. That's what we really deliver. We call it fulfilling life. Emeritus, insurance, employee benefits, financial services, and much more.
Husker fans, the 2021 athletic season marks the beginning of mobile tickets for Husker sporting events. Tickets and parking passes for all sports will be available for download in your ticket account on the official Huskers app. It's a safe and easy way to guarantee your entry into some of the most exciting sporting events around. Simply download your ticket from your ticket account or the Huskers app and save to your mobile phone wallet before you leave home. Scan at the gate and enjoy the game. Go Big Red!
Does it really matter where beef comes from? Meet the facts. Fact: Hy-Vee Choice Reserve beef comes from the Midwest, so you get only the highest quality beef raised on family farms here in the heartland. Where do the other guys get their beef? We're not sure either. Get the facts at meetthefacts.hyvee.com.
Welcome back to Sports Nightly. We welcome in Adrian Martinez, who enters season number 4 with the Huskers. Last summer, a little bit crazy with all of the COVID craziness, but how has this summer been different for you going into this year?
Well, for starters, it's non-pandemic, so
Right.
It feels a little bit more normal, and that's a great feeling for me, and I think for the rest of the guys too. A sense of normalcy, and we're getting back after it. It feels great, and I definitely feel like the old guy now. You know, last offseason was different. This one, it's back to normal, and I'm a senior, junior, whatever you want to call me. But I could see the youth on all the guys who come in, and it's just a different feel. But I like it, you know, and I still have that leadership role, and it's a little bit different now, but it's as good as it's ever been.
You obviously, you know, the best fans in the country have an appreciation for what's done in the stadium. But after not having it last year, how much more, I guess, appreciative, more excited are you guys to get back inside that stadium?
It's hard to describe. When I first got here, you know, it was like, wow, this is crazy, and then you almost get used to it. That's kind of terrible to say, but it's still super exciting, and man, goosebumps, but you get a little used to it. And then we didn't have it. Empty stadiums. There's no juice in there, you know. It's not the same feel. So the guys are pumped. I'm pumped.
You have a little butterflies probably again?
Oh, I definitely will. There's no doubt. Like, those don't necessarily go away, but it's hard to beat the tunnel walk and then running out and just you keep looking up and the stadium's filled and everyone's screaming, clapping, and I can't wait. I know the guys can't either.
So you talked about this summer kind of returning back to normal. What were your goals? What did you kind of expect from yourself that you wanted to get done this summer leading into this season?
Yeah, so I really wanted to mix things up a little bit. I think one of the main things, it started with my diet, and I know it's been kind of a topic in the winter and in the spring, but I definitely have leaned down, picked up my speed, and then I've just been throwing all the time. Trying to fine-tune that and get to where I need to be. So those are little self-adjustments, and I think beyond that, as a leadership unit, we've really been trying to hold people accountable and do things on an entirely new level so we get a new, better result.
How are you going about, I know you're excited about this wide receiver group, but how are you going about kind of building that chemistry and continuing that connection with them this summer?
Beyond just throwing and getting reps and that type of thing, because that has to happen. Trying to hang out outside of the weight room, the football field, and I think that's where real personal bonds are built. So whenever we can get together and just do something fun and get to know each other, I think that's when we truly grow as teammates.
How talented is this group?
I think they're very talented. I'm excited. You know, I don't want to use hyperbole, so I won't, but I think they can be really good, and it's really going to be dependent on the quarterbacks and them. And it's a unit type of thing. And I feel like we have all the talent to be as good as we want to be. We just have to be disciplined.
How challenging was last year for you personally?
Personally, it was very challenging. There were lots of hurdles to jump, but it's nothing I haven't been through before. You know, adversity is what you make of it. And I feel like I did my best at handling it. I mean, COVID, our season, the ups and downs, everything else, you know, it was tough. But I will say the Lubick aspect, he made our offense as, you know, seamless as possible. I think he did a great job of putting in some great quick game pass stuff and things that made me as a quarterback more efficient. So I'm definitely thankful for that. But all the rest of that was tough for a while, but I feel like we're moving past it and in a great direction, and it only made me better.
So to say you grew from it, right? You're better for it?
Definitely grew from it. And there were a lot of lessons to be learned, and I think one of the important ones, you know, when I wasn't the starting quarterback last year, I still had an incredible impact on my team, and I think that went a long way in my own eyes and my own heart, because it kind of showed I was a true teammate, leader, and someone who could still have an impact without necessarily being the starter.
Matt Lubick, he said, you know, throughout the spring that it was the most accurate he's seen you. How did that improve for you? How did you get better at that?
Reps, and I think confidence. I think the combination of those two things, and also reps with the receivers, and it's kind of a collective effort. And I feel like it's only something, it's like building blocks. I'm just trying to continue to get better each day. And again, I've been working on it in the summer, and I'm going to have to do it in fall camp too to make it into a reality come fall.
You're not the only guy with lots of experience coming back. As a quarterback, what does it do to know the guys that are playing on the other side of the ball for you, the defense, all those guys coming back?
Well, it's huge. You know, I have a ton of faith in those guys, and they share a lot of common experiences with me. So as a leadership group, I think it helps a lot in what we're trying to tell the rest of our team.
What about the guys behind you, your backup, the young guys in that room? How have you seen them kind of come along?
It's been fun to watch them, because I've been in their shoes as far as where they're at in their development, and it's exciting. And I truly feel a sense of, you know, responsibility to make sure those guys are as prepared as possible, even more than I was, because I didn't necessarily have a player that was a quarterback that I could turn to, and they have me. So I try and take them to that next level, and they've been doing some really good things.
And when you start fall camp, it's right around the corner. How are you approaching that? What are you looking to kind of gain out of that this year, this time around?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is bringing the unit together, all of us. And we all feel like we're striving towards one purpose, and that'll be my big mission. Obviously, there are individual things I'm going to have to accomplish and have to push other people to accomplish for themselves. But as a unit, I think that's where we can become special.
So you're coming on my podcast. You have a podcast as well. Let's talk about that. How much fun has that been for you to kind of tackle that new endeavor?
It's been great. Like you said, it's a great new opportunity, and with name, image, and likeness just on the horizon, it was too good of a opportunity, possibility, whatever you want to call it, to pass up. And I'm just really excited we were able to make it happen, and we'll see where it goes.
And for those that are listening that might not know, give them. Plug it up a little bit.
All right,
where they can find it.
So it's called Athletes Unfiltered. You can find it on Twitter or Instagram, and obviously Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So really excited about it. You'll hear some unfiltered, not press conference talk from myself and other football players.
I noticed you, far and away, Cam won the fan vote on he would be a better quarterback than you would be a center.
Yeah, I wish you didn't mention that. But yes, he won far and away. It wasn't even close, and he has not let me hear the end of it. So that is what that is. I'll stick to my belief. Cam would be a great Wildcat quarterback. I'll give him that.
Speaking of that, how's that chemistry? I mean, obviously it's so important between quarterback and center. You feel like that's grown a lot too?
It definitely has. I think we have a lot of shared experiences, and I think he is just on the forefront of becoming everything he wants to be. He's working his tail off. He's becoming a leader in that offensive line room, and that's been great to see this offseason. So I'm really excited for him. I know Beef Jerky will be ready to go.
Beef Jerky will be ready to go. I was super, super impressed. First time kind of, doing an extended interview with him and, again, saying all the right things. And I know that that'll be the first thing that they say. It's one thing to say it. You got to go out on the field and prove it. But, the way that he's kind of led this team, and you heard him, the leadership group, not just him, but they're doing things differently this year to make sure that they've got better, different outcomes.
The best thing that can happen is better players around him. And I think that part is going to be there for Adrian. Been a big Adrian fan. I know when you're the starting quarterback in Nebraska, you're going to be under the gun. You're going to be under the heat. Scott Frost understands that because he was in that situation when he played here as well. We're all rooting for Adrian. I hope he has a big, big year. This August is big for the guys behind him, though. Jessica Heinrich Harburg's got to really raise up his game. I know he just got to campus in January, but he's got a big arm. We saw that at the spring game. Logan Smothers is maybe as fast a guy as there is on the team, but he's got to get better maybe in the throwing game. Those two have to be ready. It's a long, physical season. There's a good chance Adrian doesn't play all 12 games, so those guys better get ready.
Yeah, and you never know when, you might be blowing out a team and you need somebody to come in and play in the second half, so you're not worried about those injuries and you save some legs and arms and all of the above. So you got to have somebody that you can call on.
That would be key. If the Fordham and the Buffalo games, the Nebraska could get a nice lead and get those guys some game experience, that would be huge. Hopefully that's the case. Art on our text line wants to know if we think Adrian's going to play 2 more years at Nebraska. My gut says, yeah, I think he does.
Yeah, and we heard a lot about that from people in regards to the NIL thing, that it might entice kids to not leave to go to the NFL or the NBA or whatever it might be, because you do have a chance to stick around and make some money and, in a way that you didn't have before. And so, yeah, I mean, I think I just get the sense that, again, a lot of these guys came back. They wanted to do some things differently this time around, and he's one of those guys. Yeah. And just 1 year doesn't seem like it would be good enough for him. He wants to kind of help cement, this legacy and this foundation for years to come.
Well, that's a great question. I don't know that he's prepared to answer that now. He's got to get through this season and see what happens. What kind of year does he have? Does he want to continue on at college? Those are all things he's going to have to decide.
And he might not know. I mean, he might not decide on that until the end of the season. He might have a feeling now, and because I going through all that last year, talking with coaches and players, at the beginning of the year, you felt one way. And then by the end of the year, you felt it different. So some players came back that they didn't. You thought that they were going to come back and didn't, and vice versa. So you never know. You got the year right now. You approach it maybe feeling one way, but then you see how things turn out. You never know.
That has made the whole recruiting puzzle so complicated because all these seniors, Adrian's one of them, had the ability with the NCAA saying that last year was a freebie to come back. So Nebraska doesn't really know how many scholarships are we going to have to give to this class coming in next year. You can sign 25. I don't know Nebraska can get close to that if a bunch of these guys decide to come back, and I hope a lot of them do.
Yeah, I mean, and you've heard it from a lot of coaches that it's kind of made and especially the sports that don't have full scholarships
That's
that you're
right.
trying to figure out what to do about, and guys coming in expecting a scholarship that you got to, honor some of the ones that you had and figuring all that out. It's going to be kind of a pain for a couple more years.
It is.
Till it works itself out.
And it will. The longer you go away from COVID year, it will work out. But I do feel sorry for some high school kids. I think there's some opportunities being taken away from them because the rules backing up there's a logjam. It's created a logjam.
And not every sport has 80 scholarships
exactly
to work
right.
with. So
Yeah.
you're figuring out how to work around that as well.
Buckle up, put that phone down. It's a reminder from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. All right, phone lines are open. Your thoughts about Adrian, about the quarterback position, 402-413-2400 with a call or a text. We're back to take those next.
Do you want your date to wait for your interlock device to let you drive? Your kids to ask why you have an ankle bracelet? Or your boss to see your criminal history? Do you want to miss important life events because of house arrest? Get a ride. A DUI costs more than you think.
Brought to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts. Nebraska Athletics are hiring event staff for the 2021 home football season. Our #1 requirement, be passionate about Husker football and ready to provide the ultimate fan experience for the greatest fans in college football. As part of the event staff, you serve Husker Nation and check out live game action inside Memorial Stadium. Apply right now and help kick off the Husker football season by working the Garth Brooks concert. For more information and to apply, visit huskers.com/event staff. Go Big Red.
Because Ford trucks and SUVs are built to help you every day, you made Ford America's best-selling brand. And now you can get great offers on the entire Ford lineup. Come see how at your local Ford store, based on 2019 calendar year total sales. There's a Ford built for everyone, whether it's the latest driver assist technologies, room to fit the whole family, or the power you need on the job site. Ford has you covered. Head to your Midwest Ford dealers today to find great deals on the right vehicle for you.
We're back Wednesday night, Sports Nightly here on the Husker Sports Network, 402-413-2400. The number if you want to dot us up with a comment or question or fire off a text. Greg Sharpe, Jessica Coody with you here on a Wednesday night. Carla on the text line. Good inning for the Big Ten to expand to 16. Wouldn't they need to have both an athlete and academic factors in the equation? Absolutely. That is really, really important to the Big Ten. Also, it'd be a good question to pose to Kevin Warren. And I'm guessing if he takes questions tomorrow, Jessica,
my goodness,
he's going to get asked that.
Could you imagine? We were just talking about that last night about, the questions you're going to get asked. Well, now you got to prepare for a whole new line of questioning.
Absolutely.
Like, welcome to your first big conference media days. Have fun with that.
Yeah. Also on our text line, I would think Kansas State, Iowa State would be begging to get into the Big Ten if that move happened. Absolutely. And again, I think Kansas, because of the prowess of their basketball program, would be attractive to the Big Ten Conference moving forward. So, again, that's going to be asked of Kevin Warren. If this is all going to 16 teams, don't you have to keep up with the Joneses? And I think the answer would be yes, they would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. The SEC's media days did continue. It was day 3. Alabama's day was there. And I'm told that 7 or 8 different times that Nick Saban was referred to as Nick in a question, and he didn't walk off the stage.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, that was a wild story yesterday.
Dion.
That was the end of the day? He was just done?
Yeah.
He didn't...
It stormed off. Said, if you would do that to Nick Saban, no, Nick's apparently okay with it. In fact, I guess Nick had some fun with the day. He
did, okay.
He brought it up in a couple interviews. You can call me
Mr.
Nick.
Saban.
Call me Nick. So he was having fun with that. Some really sad news tonight about Bobby Bowden, just the legendary coach at Florida State. It has come out that he has been diagnosed with a terminal medical condition. He said he's at peace with that. Bobby is 91 years old, coached the Seminoles for 34 years. I know he and Coach Osborne are good friends. Sorry to see this for Bobby Bowden. He has meant so much to the sport of college football. Wonderful, wonderful gentleman. I've been around him a couple of different times. Sad to hear, but He also just said that he's at peace with it and he's prepared for what's to come.
Yeah, and what a life and a career, as he mentioned, to have led, and just the impact that he made on so many people. But you hear so many of his coaching tree and talk about the imprint that he's made on college football with so many people that have played for him that are or coached underneath him that are now making impacts within the college football family.
There's a handful of coaches that you totally associate that program with that coach. Florida State is
Yes.
Bobby Bowden. Nebraska, in a lot of ways, is Tom Osborne, although Bob Devaney certainly got that launched in the 70s. There's not many of them, but Bobby Bowden and Florida State do go hand in hand.
Would you say Barry Switzer's Oklahoma?
No, because Bud Wilkinson was so big before
true.
that. So
It's the three Bs.
Yeah, and Bob Stoops would be in that category
Bud, Barry,
too.
and Bob.
But yeah, I just think with Bobby and Florida State, it's Bobby.
Yeah,
and
it
they have
is,
not
for
been
sure.
much since he's been gone. And I'm sure that saddened him that they haven't been better when he stepped aside and retired a few years back. Joe Paterno in Penn State would be another one that you
Yep.
totally associate Penn State football with Paterno. That saddened me when I saw that news earlier today. All right, tomorrow is day one for the Big Ten Media Days in Indianapolis. Right out of the bat, 9:30 our time tomorrow. The commissioner will give his remarks. I hope he takes questions. I think it would be a huge mistake if he doesn't. Scott Frost is the third coach up. He should hit the podium and the TV coverage at about 10:20 tomorrow. So if you want to sneak out of work for a few minutes or pull up your stream, that's about the time you want to hear from Coach Frost.
I'm excited to kind of experience my first day of being all in on Big Ten Media Days. I think it's really, the Big Ten does it the right way with the Big Ten Network, and as we've seen with the SEC Network as well, kind of going all in. But yeah, it's going to make things interesting with this news coming out today, how, what questions are going to be posed tomorrow, not just for the commissioner, but for the coaches as well. What do they want? Do they want to see two teams? Which teams do they want to see coming in?
The topics are amazing. The playoff expansion, NIL, obviously, and now this gets thrown into the mix. So it really, and then COVID. I think is the league prepared to put more restrictions in with COVID because cases are rising, unfortunately, around the country? Are they going to put bumpers up? What are they going to do if a team can't field enough players to play? Are they going to talk about forfeiting games? You can't reschedule. There's a lot on the plate tomorrow, so I'm really anxious to see this. Big change for the Big Ten, Jessica. This is the first time maybe in 50 years that it's not in Chicago, that it's in Indianapolis, and they're going to have it at the home of the Colts out on the field. The Big Ten loves their big preseason luncheon. That's been canceled this year because of COVID. So it's a little bit different event. The schools have always had to go on and spend 2 days there. Everybody's going to go in and out in one day. So you have 7 teams tomorrow, 7 teams on Friday. Huskers go tomorrow. What do you want to hear from the head football coach tomorrow?
Man,
don't you think he's going to get asked about vaccination rates? I think he probably will.
I was literally just thinking about that because you and I were talking about that off air a couple different times about vaccination. I think people want to know about that. Probably people are going to want to know about the quarterbacks, right? Back up and moving forward with Adrian, how he's going to be different going into this year. The running backs and because there is so much unknown, it seems to be there is a lot of talent, but how that's going to shake out, moving into fall camp, because you do have to name a starter, right? And a couple of guys need to separate themselves. And,
probably get asked about his boss, too.
Yeah.
Got a new boss.
Yeah.
And Trev is going to tomorrow.
Yeah, that was a question we had on the text line, is if he'd be there.
Yep. Hey, buckle up. Put that phone down. It's a reminder from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. 1 hour in the books. Great to hear from Mario Verduzco and Adrian Martinez. We'll talk more about this Oklahoma-Texas story that came up next hour. And our old buddy Lane Grindle will join us. Come on back for hour 2.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts. Mark your calendars. Nebraska Football Fan Day is back, and we can't wait to welcome you to Memorial Stadium. Fans can meet the 2021 Husker football team next Thursday, July 29th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Football Fan Day is the best opportunity for fans to meet and greet Husker players, coaches, and staff as they gear up for the start of another exciting season. For full event details, including health and safety guidelines, entrances, parking, and autograph policies, visit huskers.com/football.
When you're prepared for life, you get more out of life. When you're prepared, you spend less time worrying and more time doing the things you love. How prepared are you? When you're ready to find out, Emeritus is ready to help. First, we get to know you. Then we make a plan together, one that lets you enjoy today and prepare for tomorrow. That's what we call fulfilling life. Emeritus, insurance, employee benefits, financial services.
So, when do you think you'll be done with our kitchen renovation?
Well, ma'am, the Italian marble countertops will take a while to get in.
No problem. In the meantime, you can start on the spiral staircase.
What?
If you win Mega Millions from the Nebraska Lottery with a jackpot that starts in the millions in drawings Tuesdays and Fridays, you can afford to go a little mega.
So you want us to build a spiral staircase?
Well, how else are we supposed to get up to the helipad? Oh, good. My husband's home.
Top prize odds 1 in 302 million.
Still waiting for your stimulus check? Don't wait for the government. Get the SOS stimulus package right now. For a limited time, get $2,000 off a qualifying York system. York products are all proudly made in the USA. Call SOS, a trustworthy company since 1950. SOS is a family-owned third-generation company. Get you and the loved ones comfortable again with SOS.
SOS to the rescue. SOS. SOS.
Good evening. I'm Greg Sharpe here at tonight's Sports Ticker. Husker baseball star Jackson Hallmark signed a free agent deal today with the Houston Astros. Hallmark, a senior, did have the option to come back and play next spring for the Huskers, but he went undrafted and then ended his collegiate career with the signing with the Astros today. Hallmark was an all-conference pick this past year. A report out this afternoon from the Houston Chronicle stating that Oklahoma and Texas have both reached out to the SEC about joining that league. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, who was at the SEC Media Days in Hoover, Alabama, did not want to address the report, instead saying that his focus is on the teams that are gearing up for the 2021 season. We'll have more on that coming up here in just a few moments. Tough start at the Olympics for the USA women's soccer team. They had their 44-game winning streak snapped earlier today by Sweden. The U.S. lost 3-0. They'll be in action again on the 24th against New Zealand. USA softball team won their opener, beating Italy 2-0. They just got underway. They're playing Canada, and they're just in the first inning. The USA has a threat. Runners on first and third, nobody out. Checking the baseball scoreboard, Baltimore lost to Tampa today 5-4. It was the Padres over the Braves in game one of their doubleheader 3-2. The Mets blanked the Reds 7-0. The Rockies over the Mariners 6-3. It was the Diamondbacks turning back the Pirates 6-4. The Royals sweeping a two-game series in Milwaukee, knocked off the Brewers 6-3. We'll talk with Brewers broadcaster Lane Grindle here in just a couple of minutes. Padres in the second game of that doubleheader lead the Braves 5-4. They're in a rain delay right now in the fifth in Atlanta. It's the Marlins 1, the Nationals nothing in the fourth. The Phillies lead the Yankees 2-0 in the third inning. Boston ahead of Toronto 2-0 in the top of the fourth. Tigers have a 3-2 lead on the Rangers there in the fourth inning. Just about to get underway, Cleveland and Houston. The Twins will take on the White Sox. The Cubs and Cardinals get going in St. Louis. The Giants and Dodgers later tonight out at Chavez Ravine. Those are tonight's headlines. I'm Greg Sharpe.
Live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly on the Huskers Radio Network, bringing you the best Husker sports experience.
Kubik sends it past me, Gonzalez. It's over the net. Shut back by Stubrins. It's in. They did it. Match point, big run. 15-10 in the fifth. Fighting back from the abyss, down 2 sets love. Nebraska claims opening night against Ohio State. 15-10 set 5. My goodness.
Lauren Stivrins is a great leader, and Lauren was talking to those guys through when we were struggling, and she got them to change their mindset. And then I think Lexi led the way, and Nicklin, and so those are the guys that got to do that. Then it was fun to watch. We played Husker volleyball.
Sports Nightly is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Transportation Highway Safety Office, who reminds you to buckle up and put the phone down. Here are your hosts, Greg Sharpe and Jessica Coody on the Huskers Radio Network.
We're back, hour number 2 of our Wednesday night show. Big hour coming up. Ryan Aber, the Oklahoman, going to join us here in just a moment. It's going to shed some light on this big story that popped earlier today about Oklahoma and Texas, perhaps jumping conferences going to the SEC. Lane Grindle, our old buddy, our old host of Sports On, going to join us from Milwaukee. We'll talk about the Major League Baseball trade deadline, which is coming up, and also his take on what Milwaukee's been like for the last 24 hours with the Bucks having their big celebration of winning the NBA title. And Bill Jansen, who yesterday was named as a member of the Nebraska Football Hall of Fame, is going to join us. Bill was a part of that 1971 national championship team. Looking forward to talking with Bill later on in the hour. But Jessica, let's get back to Oklahoma. Good friend of yours.
Yes, Ryan Aber. Ryan, thanks for coming on. I was just talking with Greg. You've been at the Oklahoma in over 10 years, right?
Yeah, it's been almost 15 now, October of 2006. So it's been quite a while.
Yeah, and, for those that are listening that might not know, the Oklahoman has all of the inside scoop on all of the big news that happens regarding Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I know you guys have been all over this all day. What a huge news day. And this has been a conversation, it seems to come up. I was, joking earlier, every couple of years. But how legitimate is this report that we're hearing today?
Well, it certainly seems like there's at least a little bit of fire there beneath all the smoke, especially when you look at the statement that OU put out just a little bit ago that was really short and really sweet. Just the college athletics landscape is shifting constantly. We don't address every anonymous rumor. So they didn't deny anything, and same thing with what the Texas president told our sister paper down in Austin, the American Statesman, which is pretty much we're not going to address these rumors, even though it's certainly sort of taken the college football world by storm this afternoon.
Yeah, it seems like nobody's certainly not confirming it, but they're not really denying it either. Why do you think this is coming out now, today?
Well, not sure exactly why it's coming out today, but, as these TV deals get closer and closer to their end, it becomes, important for these schools to look toward the future. And certainly, especially on OU's case, they've had some things about the Big 12 that they haven't been especially happy with. And you don't have to look any farther than that game against Nebraska that's coming up here in a couple months. The 11 a.m. start time really was not something that Joe Castiglione was really happy about, especially given how many 11 a.m. kicks they've had at home in recent years. So I think that the timing is much more about the year and everything coming to an end, and it becoming much more palatable to leave the Big 12 when you talk about the grant of rights extensions and things like that monetarily than it would have been even a couple of years ago. And the fact that they've got to give 18 months notice even if they want to leave. So that time is quickly approaching, even when you look at the end of this TV deal and the grant of rights deal, which expires at the same time.
Talking with Ryan Aber of the Oklahoman. Ryan, in the news kind of coming out that potentially the college football playoff could expand to 12 teams. The 14 playoff right now, I mean, Oklahoma's got a pretty good gig where they've got, they've been in the playoffs several times. But, how much do you feel like maybe this talk of it expanding to 12 teams is maybe playing into this could still be beneficial for Oklahoma as well?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think that pre-expansion, it would be hard to see why OU would want to leave that when you talk about specifically just football and their path to the playoff. But with expansion, it becomes much more likely that multiple and even more than multiple, a handful of SEC teams wind up making that playoff most years. And, maybe OU says, well, hey, maybe we might not be the number 1 or 2 seed quite as often, but we can make it much more often in the SEC, added with the monetary benefit of the SEC payouts versus what they're getting now in the Big 12. And those deals for the third rights becoming shorter in years as well. Everything it makes sort of combines to lead OU to a point where they can even consider making this jump to the SEC.
As soon as I saw the news, I hopped on and listened to some sports talk radio in Oklahoma, and it seems like fans this time around are more accepting to the move. You heard some people talking about renewing their season tickets, the potential having different opponents coming into Norman. Have you kind of got a sense that it's maybe a little bit more going to be accepted by fans this time around?
Yeah, it seems like it. And I think there are a lot of people who were accepting of a potential move to the Pac-12 a few years ago when that built up steam. But there were a lot of people even then who were saying, well, I'd rather it be the SEC if they're going to make a move. So now with this talk picking up steam, I think there's a lot of people that are very excited about it because if nothing else, when you look at OU's schedule, which never includes Texas and Norman, so that takes out a big potential marquee opponent at home for the Sooners. And yes, Bedlam is big when it comes to Norman. We've seen Iowa State become more and more prevalent over the last few years, but inside the conference, there's not a whole lot of just marquee matchups for the Sooners that they were able to get at home. And if you look at the SEC with the potential realignment that would have Missouri going over into the West and Alabama and Auburn into the East to make room for Texas and Oklahoma potentially, you've got a schedule that it would include, Arkansas fairly regularly. It would include LSU, especially fairly regularly. So, and then Texas A&M, who the Sooners are really familiar with, obviously. So that the potential home schedule and the way that you can sell it to your fans gets a whole lot more attractive with a potential move to the SEC.
Where does Oklahoma State factor into this? Because I was kind of remembering a couple of times that these talks happened that Oklahoma and Oklahoma State had to stick together.
Yeah, that's going to be tricky. There's no official law or anything like that would tie them to sticking together, but certainly legislators in the state could make it difficult for the Sooners to make a move without the Cowboys potentially. I think two things could go into that to make it a little bit more palatable for them, though. The first is Oklahoma State finding a decent spot to land, which is also why I think that OSU might be a little bit more willing to negotiate as far as buyouts and things like that when it comes to OU and Texas and the Big 12, if they're guaranteed a spot among Power 5 conferences or just the power conferences, whether they'll wind up being 4 or 5 after the fact. And then the other thing would be signing a long-term deal to keep Bedlam an annual rivalry. I think if that happens, which you would expect it to, but we've seen some rivalries that we expected to go on forever come to an end in OU and Nebraska, with Nebraska's move a decade ago, a little bit more than a decade ago, and then Texas and Texas A&M, the same thing. So, I don't think there isn't any legislative demand for it, but certainly there's going to be some things raised if those couple of assurances aren't made to them and to Oklahoma State.
Visiting with Ryan Aber of the Oklahoman in Oklahoma City. And Ryan, I've talked to a few people around here about just the disappointment level and the 11 a.m. kickoff between Oklahoma and Nebraska in Norman this year. The disappointment is very real on that end, right? I mean, it was brought up at Big 12 Media Days with Bob Bowlesby addressing it that, hey, we signed this TV deal, but people were very disappointed that game time was set for 11 a.m.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I got a chance to chat with Joe Castiglione at the Board of Regents meeting that happened later that day after the announcement. And, you could sense in his statement there was quite a bit of frustration, but talking to him about some of the specific frustrations, one about having this happen repeatedly for marquee games, and two about everything that they had planned around OU Nebraska. They wanted to honor that 1971 team, both the OU team and the Nebraska team, and those players that were involved. And there are going to be a lot of them in town. They wanted to do a lot of that stuff the morning of the game and right before and things like that. And an 11 a.m. kick just doesn't leave enough time to do everything that they wanted. So some of that stuff is going to move to less attractive options like Friday night or after the game. And I think it's going to take a little bit of shine off the game. It's still going to be a fantastic renewal of what was one of college football's best rivalries, but there is a lot of disappointment around OU with the way that this game was chosen and the fact that it's chosen to start at 11 a.m.
Former players at Oklahoma get amped talking about this rivalry and some of the, matchups that have taken place in the past. But do the current players understand the magnitude of this rivalry, what it used to be?
I think there's some that do. The guys that are in the state are the guys that are sort of students of college football and are able to look beyond just their own experiences growing up and what they watched do. But a lot of them don't. I think a lot of them don't have any sense of just what this rivalry was and how important it was in the grand scheme of college football. But I think a lot of them are going to figure it out, whether it be from studying on their own, or I'm sure that the coaches and everybody around the program are going to instill in them just how big the game is, just with everything else that's going to go on around the game. Like I mentioned, all the honoring of the 1971 teams and the 50th anniversary of that game. I think there's a lot of guys who are going to learn a lot more about this rivalry that they didn't know going in.
Do you expect the crowd, even at 11 a.m., to be pretty rocking?
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about it. Who knows what the student section will be like, because sometimes that's a little slow going at 11 a.m. coming off Friday nights in Norman. But the rest of the crowd, I think, especially some of the older folks who maybe aren't the ones who usually get the place rocking, I think they're going to be awfully fired up to see Nebraska back on that field and this rivalry back as part of college football, even if it's just for a couple of years.
Well, I'm excited to come back, even being on the opposing sideline, because I do think it's going to be an awesome atmosphere, because I keep telling people about how excited the Oklahoma fans have been that this game is even happening, even despite the 11 a.m. kickoff.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's going to be fun. As someone who grew up around this area and looking at that game as sort of one of the pinnacle games of college football, and that's a different kind of rivalry, as you know, Jessica, between the OU and Texas rivalry, where there's a lot of bitterness on each side. The Bedlam rivalry that a lot of people on the OU side don't even claim as a rivalry. And then the Nebraska rivalry, which is much more about respect and admiration for each other's programs than I think any of the other ones for the Sooners, for sure.
Well, Ryan, last thing for you. How are you going to chase this rumor down about this conference realignment? What's next for you guys at the Oklahoman? I know you'll be all over it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just trying to talk to as many people who are in positions to know things as possible. And not a whole lot of those phone calls getting answered today. I don't know if it's because of folks not wanting to talk, be on vacation, things like that. But there also hadn't been a whole lot of denials, like I said. So it's going to be a really interesting few days, and hopefully, we'll get some resolution to it at some point before too long. But it's certainly made for what was going to be a quiet Wednesday into something much, much different than that, for sure.
Well, give Ryan a follow on Twitter to stay up on all of this news, to stay on top of all of it, because the Oklahoman will be one of the first to break any kind of news that happens. He's at RYABER, Ryan Aber, on Twitter. Ryan, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate your insight.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And Jessica, great talking to you again, and congrats on your new gig up there. Look forward to seeing you here in September.
Yes, no doubt about it. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, quick break here on Sports Nightly, but up next, Greg's got Lane Grindle here on the show. Keep it here on Sports Nightly.
Shop Woodhouse Ford first. With 3 convenient locations, we offer a wide selection of cars, trucks, and SUVs. Our no-pressure sales team is eager to help you find the perfect vehicle. We make it easy to shop, finance, and purchase in person or online at woodhouseford.com. Choose your experience and start your car buying journey today at Woodhouse Ford in Blair, Omaha, or Plattsmouth.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Did you ever buy something and get more than you expected? Emeritus offers insurance, employee benefits, and financial services, but we deliver so much more. The comfort of a human voice when you need it. The confidence of flashing a beautiful smile, the relief that your family can keep living the life they love, the serenity of knowing you've planned well and can enjoy life. That's what we really deliver. We call it fulfilling life. Emeritus, insurance, employee benefits, financial services, and much more.
There is no better way to support your Huskers than becoming a season ticket holder. And a limited number of Nebraska football season tickets are on sale now. Secure your seat in Memorial Stadium for head coach Scott Frost's 4th season at the helm as the Huskers play host to Buffalo, Michigan, Ohio State, Iowa, and more. Now is your chance to become part of the storied tradition that is Husker football. To purchase season tickets, call 1-800-8-BIG-RED.
Still waiting for your stimulus check? Don't wait for the government. Get the SOS stimulus package right now. For a limited time, get $2,000 off a qualifying York system. York products are all proudly made in the USA. Call SOS, a trustworthy company since 1950. SOS is a family-owned 3rd-generation company. Get you and the loved ones comfortable again with SOS.
SOS to the rescue. SOS.
Because Ford trucks and SUVs are built to help you every day, you made Ford America's best-selling brand. And now you can get great offers on the entire Ford lineup. Come see how at your local Ford store, based on 2019 calendar year total sales. There's a Ford built for everyone, whether it's the latest driver assist technologies, room to fit the whole family, or the power you need on the job site. Ford has you covered. Head to your Midwest Ford dealers today to find great deals on the right vehicle for you.
As the official bank of Husker Nation, FNBO invites you to take the game with you with the free Husker Visa debit card. Tied to your checking account, the Husker Visa debit card allows fans to show their Husker pride all year long. Get your free Husker Visa debit card today at any FNBO branch or visit fnbo.com/Huskers. FNBO, the official bank of Husker Nation. Member FDIC.
Back to Adventures in Technology. Oh no! Our IT hero is caught in the jagged jaws of ransomware attacks and phishing scams. Help! Wait! It's Marco's Network Security Solutions to the rescue with life-saving ways to detect hungry cybervillains and stop them cold in their tracks. With Marco's Network Security Solutions, our IT hero lives to surf another day. For more successful network security adventures, go to marconet.com.
Buckle up, put that phone down. It's a reminder from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. We're back here on a Wednesday night of Sports Alley here on the Husker Sports Network. Time to talk a little Major League Baseball. Lane Grindle, the former host of this show, now one of the members of the Milwaukee Brewers broadcast crew. You've already put in a day's work, right? The Royals took 2 from you. How do you explain that? The crew has been on fire.
Easiest way to explain it. I mean, crazy things happen. The Royals are better than what they've shown, I think, in a lot of ways. This was a team that had the best record in baseball at the end of April. They're probably not that team, but they're also probably not the team that they've been for the last couple of months. You look at the lineup, you look at some of the arms that they have the ability to run out there. I do think this is a better team than what their record is, but all the same, the Brewers have been rolling, and this is just one of those series where you kind of shrug your shoulders at it, and you hope that you recover and bounce back this weekend and play well against the red-hot White Sox.
Well, we're quickly approaching the trade deadline. How active do you think the crew will be?
I think pretty active. I really do. Now, I think that it's always said with the caveat of you got to find the right fit. You got to find the right guy that's going to help your roster, and you got to find a trading partner that is going to be able to pull this off without totally asking for too much, or you got to find somebody that's going to be able to work with you on that. So that's what's going to be interesting about all of this. I think the next 10 days or so are going to be really intriguing for everybody involved. But I think the Brewers will be pretty active. I think that they're going to look at impact bats. I think they're going to look at arms, specifically bullpen arms, but I think they'll be pretty open-minded. I say all of that, though, and I don't know that you'll see the Brewers just completely get out of control just trying to acquire everybody under the sun, because the Brewers are in a pretty good spot with their core group in this roster for a long time. They got a lot of control with all of these arms that are performing at such a high level. They've got Yelich locked up for the better part of this decade. And so when you consider all of that, you feel good about your window. And so I don't know that you're going to totally mortgage your future just to make one run this year. I think there are things they can do to help this team win a World Series, and I do believe this team's a World Series contender. I think it has the pieces to be exactly that. But I think they'll also do it with an eye on the future at the same time. I don't know that they'll just get totally unreasonable about what pieces they're willing to move in their minor leagues to try to have a shot this year, knowing that they could have multiple shots down the road.
The division that fascinates me will be the East in the National League, because you've got 4 teams that still have a legit shot to win that thing. That's probably a tougher position to be in, isn't it, Lane? You're kind of in that gray area whether either you can or you can't. I would think that would be a tough spot for a front office to be in.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think, the Brewers are in a good spot. The Brewers know that they're in it. They know that they're going to be a buyer at the deadline here, but the only question is, how aggressive do they want to get? Do they want to push every chip to the middle of the table to make sure they've got that best shot at winning a World Series, or do they want to complement a team that is already really good with the pieces they think they need and then kind of see where it goes from there? I think it's different if you're maybe not the Mets so much, because I think the Mets will definitely buy with an owner that wants to make a splash. But you start looking at some of the other teams, and what do you do if you're the Phillies? You're not totally out of it, but are you really in it? I think that's a tougher spot to be in. The Braves have already acquired Jock Peterson, and that's a nice little move. But are they going to make a big move knowing that they don't have Acuna the rest of the year, and they've had a lot of issues on the mound from an injury standpoint, and your window's going to be open for a long time? It's not like the Braves have to subtract. They don't have to sell. But if they get really aggressive buying for this year, a year where maybe the pieces aren't all lined up for them to go get it, are they better off just kind of taking a deep breath, regrouping, and kind of hitting the restart button starting next year? I think those are teams that are in a weird spot. It's going to be tough for them to make a call on what they want to do, and they'll probably wait up until the last couple of days before they make a solid decision on just how aggressive they want to get.
Again, visiting Lane Grindle with the Milwaukee Brewers, a former host of this little show. You're right there in Milwaukee, and that town's got to be on fire today, I would think, after the Bucks won the NBA last night. Were you down at that Deer Crossing or Deer Creek or whatever that place is?
Deer District is what it's called. I was not. That's a lot of people for me. So I was not down there at that. Pretty amazing how the city turned out for the Bucks over the course of this run. Really was neat to see. I will correct you. The city is not on fire today. The city is very quiet, and I think there's a lot of ice packs on heads and a lot of Tylenol being consumed today. It was on fire last night. The city was really, really fired up. There was a lot of fireworks going off in different neighborhoods, and it's been 50 years. People have been waiting a long time. There haven't been a lot of parades in Milwaukee. There have been plenty of parades in Green Bay, but not in Milwaukee. It's the second championship for the Bucks, and of course the Milwaukee Braves won a World Series in '57. But there just haven't been a lot of parades in this town, and so pretty special moment for the city, and I think inspiring for the Brewers players to bring it back to the baseball conversation. The Brewers were all there. They had a suite. They went to the game. Christian Yelich sat courtside. They got a chance to see that. And to a man, they were all talking about how they want to bring another parade back to this city at the end of this year. And we'll see if they're going to be able to kind of double down on that with the Bucks.
Gianna seems like a pretty solid human being, Lane. I mean, he seems to have great perspective on his place in the world and what sports means in the world. He has to be extremely well-liked there in Milwaukee.
Giannis is as great of a superstar from just the human being aspect of it as you could ask for any city to have. I'm so glad that he's in my city because I have young kids that look up to sports athletes, and they've been able to look up to Christian Yelich, who's a pretty good example, and obviously now Giannis. And he's just a guy that gets it. I mean, he came from nothing, literally. He took care of his family all along the way. And he's a very grounded, family-first guy that is the best that there is at the game he plays. It's just neat to see. And so often with big-time stars, we say to ourselves, I hope he's as great as he's portrayed. I hope he's really the great guy we think he is. I'm very confident in saying that Giannis is every bit what we think he is. There's so many great stories of him and his humble nature. He's just a tremendous guy and a great representative for our city. We're lucky to have him.
Yeah, no doubt. And we need more of those types in the sports world, no doubt. Well, it's well known you grew up in Iowa. It's also well known your favorite Husker of all time is Tommy Frazier. But was another Iowan in Trev Alberts on your list at all? I mean, you had to grow up loving Trev Alberts playing linebacker for the Big Red, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Cedar Rapids. I mean, I was a Trev Alberts fan. I mean, that was really, to be honest with you, Greg, that was when I was really starting to get dialed in big time, is when Trev was playing. I mean, I loved the Huskers before that, but I was a younger kid, and, you're kind of in and out with things, and you're trying to pick things up. But I wasn't, dialed into the roster until Trev Alberts came around. And that's when he started to believe, too, hey, I think maybe they got something here. I think maybe they're going to turn the corner here pretty soon. And Trev was kind of one of those guys that landed or planted that foundation for the Huskers of that next run shortly after he left. So I think it's great. I think it's really cool. He's going to be the athletic director at Nebraska. I don't know Trev. I think I've maybe met him once before in my life in a very brief passing moment. So I don't know him on a personal level, but I know a lot of people that do, and they all speak so highly of him. He's obviously a very intelligent guy. He clearly understands the place as well as anybody you could have hired. And I think he'll do a great job. He has a lot of great leadership skills, at least what I see on the surface. And I think he'll bring a lot of stability to the athletic department. And I think everybody will be very glad that he's the athletic director, not just now, but 10, 15 years down the road potentially.
Fantastic. Last night here on the program, Lane, we had Rob Childress in studio, who Will Bolt has added to his staff as a player development. How about that move? That's a pretty big get for Will Bolt and the Huskers, isn't it?
Will Bolt, man, he's Midas right now. Everything he touches turns to gold. So I'm excited for that program. Will has done such a good job, and I knew that he would. You knew that he would. We knew him from before. He just epitomizes a leader and a hard-working grinder, which is kind of, I think, what you need in charge of that program. And Will brings all those qualities to the table. And now he hires a guy that basically embodies all those same things, and a guy that he learned so many of those things directly from, in Rob Childress. That's a home run for this program. Rob's a tremendous baseball mind. He's a tremendous pitching developer. I just think that Nebraska baseball has had everything go right for it here over the last 12 months, and it just continues to trend in a really good direction for that program. It's hard not to be really excited about what Will and his staff are doing.
Yeah, Husker Nation on fire when that announcement came down the pike. All right, good to catch up. What do you got ahead of you? You still home for a while?
Yeah, Brewers have an off day Thursday, and that's actually parade day in Milwaukee. And then they'll have the White Sox coming to town for a great series this weekend in Milwaukee. The pitching probables are just outstanding. You got Peralta, Woodruff, and Burns going for the Brewers. You've got Lance, Lynn, Rodon going as well for the White Sox. And so this is going to be a really fun matchup this weekend. And then the Brewers head to Pittsburgh and Atlanta for a road trip next week. So it should be fun.
Fantastic. Battle of first-place teams. Lane, as always, we appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. Appreciate it.
There is Lane Grindle joining us on our Sports Nightly Hotline, brought to you by the Woodhouse Auto family, bringing you more choices in brands, locations, and service. Experience the difference. Purchase with confidence. This is Woodhouse. When we come back, a special treat, a chance to talk to Bill Jansen, who was a defensive tackle on that 1971 Husker team. It was announced yesterday he is part of the 2021 National Football Hall of Fame class. We'll back to talk to Bill next.
Shop with confidence at Woodhouse Ford. Take advantage of our current offers and vast inventory selection with features you want at a smart price. Schedule a test drive today or shop online with our streamlined sales process. We make it easy to shop, finance, and purchase in person or online at woodhouseford.com. Choose your experience and find your next vehicle at Woodhouse Ford in Blair, Omaha, or Plattsmouth.
So, when do you think you'll be done with our kitchen renovation?
Well, ma'am, the Italian marble countertops will take a while to get in.
No problem. In the meantime, you can start on the spiral staircase.
What?
If you win Mega Millions from the Nebraska Lottery with a jackpot that starts in the millions in drawings Tuesdays and Fridays, you can afford to go a little mega.
So you want us to build a spiral staircase?
Well, how else are we supposed to get up to the helipad? Oh, good. My husband's home.
Top prize odds 1 in 302 million.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
From the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I'm journalism student Grace Fitzgibbon with Campus News. On May 7th and 8th, Nebraska celebrated its largest May graduating class in university history. 3,594 degrees were awarded to Nebraska graduates in ceremonies at Pinnacle Bank Arena and Memorial Stadium. Along with receiving their diplomas, graduates also heard inspiring speeches from notable Nebraskans, including legendary coach Tom Osborne.
When you're prepared for life, you get more out of life. When you're prepared, you spend less time worrying and more time doing the things you love. How prepared are you? When you're ready to find out, Emeritus is ready to help. First, we get to know you. Then we make a plan together, one that lets you enjoy today and prepare for tomorrow. That's what we call fulfilling life. Emeritus, insurance, employee benefits, financial services.
Does it really matter where beef comes from? Meet the facts. Fact: Hy-Vee Choice Reserve beef comes from the Midwest, so you get only the highest quality beef raised on family farms here in the heartland. Where do the other guys get their beef? We're not sure either. Get the facts at meetthefacts.hyvee.com.
Stadium seats may have been replaced with recliners. Tailgates outside the stadium may have been swapped for the ones in the backyard, and thousands of screaming fans have been replaced by one screaming baby. The only thing that hasn't changed is us, watching the game together.
It's game time, baby.
Show off your Husker team spirit during your next virtual watch party. Visit Cox.com/Huskers to take a selfie with Herbie. And don't forget to share. Watch together, cheer together, take a selfie together, even if you're not actually together. Cox, bringing us closer.
Husker fans, looking for a seat in Memorial Stadium? Custom 3-game mini plans are available now for only $195. Choose any combination of the 6 games available. Matchups available in the 3-game plan include the home opener versus Fordham, Buffalo, Northwestern, Michigan, Purdue, and Iowa. Don't miss this opportunity to join the greatest fans in college sports and help fill Memorial Stadium. To build your mini plan, visit Huskers.com/tickets or call 1-800-8-BIG-RED.
Hey, buckle up, put that phone down. It's a reminder from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. Greg Sharpe, Jessica Coody with you here on a Wednesday night. If you want to be a part of the program, here are the numbers: 402-413-2400. You can either dial us up with a comment or question or fire off a text on our text lines. Somebody on our text line said, asking about the Big Ten Media Days tomorrow, he says, my hope is that we have 0 headlines. Please just don't say something that catches headlines. Sometimes no news is good news in that area, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, which again, and it's all about context, right? Yep. So you have to read all into the quotes and whatnot. But yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes if you say something too far out there, like Dabo did yesterday, you make all the headlines.
Yes, no doubt. Couple of interesting tweets coming in regarding the realignment. Jimbo Fisher just told Paul Feinbaum, be careful what you ask for if you jump in this league. And a couple, the Austin American-Statesman saying that Missouri and Texas A&M would be a hard no to Oklahoma and Texas.
So if you need 11 yeses, there's 2 no's.
Yeah.
That would reduce
so
the
just
margin.
2 more would say no. And
yeah.
There got to be some schools that are like, yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, you kind of wonder. And so that's probably the positioning that's going to have to take place moving forward. It takes 2 to tango, right? I mean, those 2, Oklahoma and Texas could say we want to go, but the SEC could say, not ready for that.
I also think, too, if it comes back like, hey, if Oklahoma and Texas join this league, it's going to be $10 more million a year. It might change some tunes as well, or however much it might be if you add in those 2 schools, and it's going to be more money.
You really wonder what's going through a lot of the other schools' minds in the Big 12. What's going through KU, K-State, Iowa State's minds right now? What are they thinking?
Well, Oklahoma State put out a statement that, they do not want this to happen, but, they'll continue to try to put Oklahoma State in the best position possible. But I thought it was pretty interesting what Ryan was saying, that there might be an opportunity for Oklahoma State to end up in a league where they might be a little bit more competitive. You might end up in a league where you can go dominate. So,
well, when we were living through all this 11 years ago here in Nebraska, there was talk that Texas was ready to bolt to the Pac-12 and they were going to take X number of schools with them. Nebraska was not one of those schools, and that's where I think things got nervous around here. Is like, we're going to get left out of this thing, and that's what I think kickstarted Nebraska's conversation with the Big Ten. But I think both Oklahoma schools were involved in that move to the Pac-12, along with Texas and Texas Tech. I think those were the 5. And you had about 6 still left holding the bag. knowing what was going to happen.
And you talked about it earlier. Kansas, even though their football program stinks, their basketball program is a big get for many conferences.
And Jessica, they check the Big Ten box for academics.
Yes.
They do.
Yeah.
They just do.
Yeah. So Kansas, and then, Texas Tech has got to be a school that's probably kind of panicking a little bit. And Iowa State, you would think maybe would have a good shot at landing somewhere, but Iowa, you were saying Iowa might not be a fan of that.
Yeah, I don't know that Iowa would say yes on that box. So Tech would make sense for the Pac-12.
Yes,
I think that they're leaning toward that side. What's West Virginia? What's going through their minds? I mean, they're out there all by themselves, clear out east.
Yeah, I guess go back to the ACC. I don't know, or go to the ACC.
Did you stay up late last night and watch some softball?
I did. Yep, I did. We got it on right now on our big screen TV behind us.
No score.
It's awesome having it back, man. I got to tell you, I love it. I thought it was a travesty that they took it away. We're not a fan of the field that they got set up. So they're playing on the same field that they're going to play baseball on. So you can tell that it's a baseball field converted to a softball field. And I just, while you were, I think you were doing another interview or talking or something, but someone slid past the base on second because they can't be used to playing on turf.
Right.
So, it's not ideal.
It's not right.
Yeah.
It bothers me because softball is not played on turf at all. It's all dirt. There had to have been a facility in Tokyo, Japan, where softball's pretty big.
Yes.
They could have used for this event.
But you know what? I'm not going to complain about it too much because at least it's back. I mean, yes, wish they could have done, built them their own stadium, which I guess now they're probably glad that they didn't since there's no fans. But that thing would have sold out because softball and baseball are a big deal in Japan, which is a big reason why they got back into these games this year. But, yeah, you would have liked to have seen them kind of have their own stadium, their own field that's built for softball.
Would they have had to build one? There had to have been a complex in town with particularly with no fans, knowing you didn't have to have any fans. Something that's got some locker room facilities for the teams. It just bothers me, and it's got to bother the teams too. Interesting story here. Washington State football coach Nick Rolovich came out today and announced that he is not going to appear at Pac-12 Media Days in L.A. next week. Pac-12's Media Days are next week because he has chosen not to be vaccinated for COVID. The Pac-12 has a requirement that to go to this media days, you have to be fully vaccinated. And so he says, I have elected to not receive COVID vaccine for reasons which will remain private. While I have made my own decision, I respect that every individual, including our coaches, staff, and student athletes, can make his or her own decisions regarding the vaccination. I will not comment further on my decision. So he's going to appear on Zoom. He's not going. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he said that he has his own reasoning, but when you're hearing from a lot of these commissioners and coaches, pushing for that to happen, wasn't it Sankey that was saying that they're at 80%? The SEC, isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you got, these leaders kind of pushing for that, and then, and again, he said he has his own reasoning, but it is kind of an interesting story for sure when you've got a lot of these commissioners and head coaches that are really pushing for that to be the case, for their teams to be vaccinated.
The university there has a vaccine mandate for their employees and staff. So how's he skirting that issue?
Well, I mean, again, maybe he's got some medical issue.
Maybe.
I don't know.
He does. Maybe he does.
Yeah.
That's fair to say that. He could.
So, I mean.
That's an interesting story right there. I think that question's going to come up tomorrow in Indianapolis. I think the schools are going to be asked, where are you at vaccination-wise? You and I've kind of been going, I'd like to know. I'm curious. Not sure it's really our business, I guess, but I'm curious, where is Nebraska on that scale?
I'm kind of curious to see what question about, okay, so is testing still going to be a weekly thing? Is it
right.
You're not tested kind of like, at the College World Series, you're not tested unless you're, exposed to it. And then what happens there? What's the protocol after that? How long do you have to sit out? There has to be some kind of regulations or rules put in place of if that's going to be a thing. Are you testing? What's the standard, days out that you have to sit out and all of that, the policy for that. There's got to be a new policy.
Right. like the SEC attacked earlier this week, if you can't compete, they're going to forfeit. Does Kevin Warren talk about that? It's got to come up. It's got to be part of the discussion tomorrow. The day begins at 9:30. BTM will have full coverage of that. The commissioner is up first. He will be the first one to go. So it's going to be interesting to see. Scott Frost will be the third head coach to make his way to the big podium tomorrow. So he gets together about 10:20, I think, is when his time will come up to go talk to the group that is assembled in Indianapolis. First time ever that this is being held in Indy. It has always been in Chicago. This time with COVID, they have kicked it out and moved it over to that. So that's what the layout for this thing is for tomorrow. It's always a fun day. Here's the lineup tomorrow. P.J. Fleck from Minnesota will be the first coach to go. Mike Loxley from Maryland, then Scott Frost, followed by Brett Bielema of Illinois, James Franklin from Penn State, Pat Fitzgerald from Northwestern, and the last coach to speak tomorrow will be Jim Harbaugh from Michigan. He's always interesting to hear what he has to say. He tends to be a little quirky, and then the other 7 schools will go on Friday at Big Ten Media Days. So for me, I'm really interested in hearing from Kevin Warren, and then after that, and he starts at 9:15. I said 9:30, 9:15. They've given him 45 minutes. Got to take questions. He has to. You can't talk for 45 minutes.
There's no way. No way.
So we'll have a full recap of what he has to say tomorrow night here on the program along with Scott Frost. All right, need to take a break. If you want to be a part of this one, 402-413-2400. We'll be back to wrap up tonight's show next.
Do you want your date to wait for your interlock device to let you drive? Your kids to ask why you have an ankle bracelet? Or your boss to see your criminal history? Do you want to miss important life events because of house arrest? Get a ride. A DUI costs more than you think.
Brought to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Because Ford trucks and SUVs are built to help you every day, you made Ford America's best-selling brand. And now you can get great offers on the entire Ford lineup. Come see how at your local Ford store, based on 2019 calendar year total sales. There's a Ford built for everyone, whether it's the latest driver assist technologies, room to fit the whole family, or the power you need on the job site. Ford has you covered. Head to your Midwest Ford dealers today to find great deals on the right vehicle for you.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Shop with confidence at Woodhouse Buick GMC and find your next vehicle. Our knowledgeable sales team is eager to help you find a vehicle. Plus, get you on the road faster with our streamlined sales and buying process that you can start online. New Buick and GMC models with the features you want at a smart price. Visit our indoor showroom or shop online anytime at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. Experience the difference and shop Woodhouse Buick GMC first.
From the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I'm journalism student Grace Fitzgibbon with Campus News. Nebraska is one of the best schools in America for student Fulbright scholars. 2021 marks the 4th time that the university has been named a top producing institution by the Fulbright program. Of the 30 Huskers who applied this past year, 10 were offered the prestigious Fulbright. An additional 16 Huskers were named semifinalists.
Our Sports Sunday Hotline brought to you by the Woodhouse Auto family, bringing you more choices in brands, locations, and service. Experience the difference. Purchase with confidence. This is Woodhouse. Greg Sharpe, Jessica Coody back with you for a couple of more minutes here on our Wednesday night show of Sports Sunday. Still time if you want to sneak in a call or a comment with a call or a text at 402-413-2400.
How about this text that says, I cannot wait to hear you call the Nebraska game in 38 days.
Is
38
it is 38
days.
Yeah. It's
38
August,
days does not seem that far
August
away.
is going to fly.
Yeah.
It's going to fly. I didn't know whether this was going to be a sore subject for you tonight or not, but the NBA playoffs are over.
Oh, I know. That's all right. It was a good game. It was a great game to watch. And, you know, we talked about this. Giannis played unbelievable, mind-blowing, but Chris Middleton is not getting enough credit for what he did for the Bucks. This entire playoffs, they're not even in the finals without Chris Middleton, let alone winning a championship. And I kind of get over, like, all day on ESPN and all the sports talk shows is about how Giannis is the best player ever, or one of the best power forwards ever. And, it's just like he's won one championship. And I do appreciate what he's done for that city and staying and not getting onto a super team, a power team with all kinds of stars, and how he stayed locked in there. He signed a deal with Milwaukee and wanted to win one there. Great spokesperson for that franchise and for the NBA. But I am not ready to say that he's the best to ever play the game yet, I do think it was funny how after the game in his press conference, he was talking about, I made my free throws. People said I couldn't make my free throws. I was one of those people, Giannis. I said you couldn't make free throws. I'd foul him every time, and he made his free throws.
He was really good. I mean, he just had a tremendous game.
On both ends of the floor.
He was. The block shots that he had, his defensive presence all series was incredible. I like the young man. I think he's a really good person in a league that sometimes it's hard to root for some of these guys because of the way they operate off the court. He's not that way at all.
Well, and the fact that he's not about, joining a super team, and he did it for Milwaukee that hadn't won a franchise in 50 years. And I appreciate that because I kind of get a little bit, I don't love the super teams. And I think, and I also am getting a little annoyed with people saying that it's an asterisk year and that it's a fake year and everything. It's, give them credit. They stayed healthy. They figured out. And he played hurt, had the injury and came through and won.
Jessica, twice in the playoffs, they came out of a 2-0 hole.
Yeah.
They fell behind the Nets 2-0, came back to win that series, and fell behind the Suns 2-0, and then win the next 4.
I'm definitely wanted to see Chris Paul win a title, but getting that team to the NBA Finals and the season that they had was still impressive and still big for his legacy. I more so wanted a Game 7 and wanted to extend the season. But hey, now that we got all this football talk going on, I'm good. We're getting closer.
Well, and the Olympics are now underway.
Yes.
So you've got that happening. Concerned at all about the soccer team? I mean, my goodness, 3-0.
I know that's not good.
No.
You don't. That's what you expect out of the men's USA team, right? Not the.
They're not even
women's.
there. They're not good enough to be there.
So yeah, hopefully it's a wake up call and they get it going.
Yeah, and they have time. One loss doesn't kill you. It's pool play. You got to get out of your pool. They still can do that. And maybe that was the wake up call they needed. Sometimes you need a little kick to go, okay, a little humble pie to say maybe we're not clearly better than everybody else in the world.
Yeah, I did not watch that at 3 a.m. Did you? You?
No.
Okay.
They did replay it at 8 this morning, so I watched the first half of it this morning, and they just had it on before the softball game got started here tonight. So they've run it like 3 times already.
I can't wait, though. It's a little taste of some competition before the opening ceremonies, and then we'll be all in and watching the Olympics nonstop.
Basketball starts here today or 2 over there, so that'll be fun to follow that. All right, great show tonight. Tomorrow night, we will recap day 1 of Media Days from Indianapolis. We'll get comments from the commissioner. I'm really, really anxious to hear what he has to say. We've not heard Kevin Warren in this kind of a setting since he became the commish 18 months ago. This is a big day for him. He needs to shine a little bit. He needs to show that he's up to the task of the job, and obviously can't wait to hear what Scott Frost has to say. He's been on vacation with a lot of the coaches for the last couple of weeks. Where is this team in his eyes? Where is this program going into year 4 for Scott Frost? So we'll have a full recap of that tomorrow night here on the program. That'll put a wrap on tonight's show. Thanks to Jessica, to Mike, and to Andrew, and all of you for listening tonight. Be safe. Enjoy the rest of your night. Back with you for another edition tomorrow night. Good night.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
So, when do you think you'll be done with our kitchen renovation?
Well, ma'am, the Italian marble countertops will take a while to get in.
No problem. In the meantime, you can start on the spiral staircase.
What?
If you win Mega Millions from the Nebraska Lottery with a jackpot that starts in the millions in drawings Tuesdays and Fridays, you can afford to go a little mega.
So you want us to build a spiral staircase?
Well, how else are we supposed to get up to the helipad? Oh, good. My husband's home.
Top prize odds 1 in 302 million.
Want to get all the latest Husker news straight to your phone? Need to be the first of your friends to get the scoop on all things Huskers? Sign up for text alerts from Nebraska Athletics. Text Huskers to 83200 to get game time notifications and updates, breaking news, special ticket offers, and more straight to your phone. All the Husker news is just a quick text away. Just text Huskers to 83200. Standard text messaging rates apply and may vary by carrier.
Experience the highest levels of luxury at Woodhouse Lincoln, the Metro's exclusive Lincoln dealer. Our dedicated sales team is ready to guide you to your perfect vehicle. With a lineup of unique crossovers and SUVs, Lincoln offers insightful technologies, connectivity, and interior amenities, while you experience the highest sales satisfaction among all luxury brands. Visit Woodhouse Lincoln at 144th and Giles Road or online at woodhouselincoln.com.
Touchdown, Nebraska!
If you're doing business in Nebraska, the best way to connect your organization with the excitement surrounding the Huskers is through a partnership with Nebraska Athletics.
Kaboom! Wow!
You can take your business to the next level by reaching loyal Husker fans through in-venue signage, radio advertising, digital and social media, and more.
Got it!
Join the Husker team today and email partners@huskers.com to learn more about opportunities to connect with Husker Nation. That's partners@huskers.com.